Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome. It is week number, how many is this, 3?
3 for the SEC.
3 for the SEC. It's Rocky Top Review presented by CHI Memorial and joined by Stephen Shelton. We're down a man, Shelton.
Well, basically the debate is over. The fake news is gone, and I'm here. So this is it.
Hey, Austin, this is on Mix 104.1, Talk 101.3 Radio, and Mix TV. Austin, got a shot of the empty chair, would you?
Yeah.
Austin Chadwick, our producer, for television. And if we can get a shot of the empty chair, I'm going to make a point here. And there it is. Just get a shot of the empty chair. There it is. That right there, ladies and gentlemen, is better than the man who normally sits there.
Absolutely.
I'll go ahead and tell you.
Yeah. There's so much more knowledge sitting here.
I mean, I think that says it all.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Shelton, let's go back in time. What a great win for UT this past Saturday.
Well, it's the first win you could say, I think, in years that you just saw a dominance about every aspect of the game. So offensive line really gelled together. The run game was great. Chandler was great. Gray was great. I just think that when you look at this Vols offense for the first time, I would say maybe in 6, 7, 8 years, it's the run game is really dominating the offensive side of the football. So that is really good news. I'm still got a lot of concerns about Garantano throwing the football and controlling this football team. But again, he still doesn't have a turnover. And if you're asking for a quarterback to do something that's positive every game, that's not to turn the football over. And that's what he's done so far. The Vols are 2-0. First time since 2017. They're 2-0. Today will be a much different picture for them, as these first 2 games have been against teams that have really struggled early on in the season. So, but hey, 2-0 in Vol Nation, can't be happier.
Are you? I mean, was this expected, as far as you're concerned, that they would be 2-0 at this point?
No, I really thought they'd start off 2-0. Now, this next stretch of games they've got, it's kind of a murderer's road type deal with starting today with Georgia. Then you have Kentucky, Alabama, back to back. Kentucky was really they've been a letdown. They're 0-2 right now. Lost last week to Ole Miss in overtime. Couldn't get their special teams going very well. The kicker struggled, but then you look at an Alabama team that, oh boy, they're playing really well. Then you have Arkansas, but then you go Texas A&M, Auburn, and Vandy to kind of end the season. So I think that if you look at this schedule, you win today, you're in a really good driver's seat to win the East. You lose today, you still have a chance, but you're going to have to beat Florida and possibly an Auburn to get to that point. So, but I think if you look at the progression of what Coach Pruitt has done in Knoxville thus far, you have to think that this guy has got them on the right track. We've given him a raise. You think about last week in Knoxville, they were not supposed to do the Vol Walk. They're in buses as they traditionally are. They got to a certain point. He said, "Stop the bus. We're doing the Vol Walk." And
really?
So, yeah, and they said, "We can't do it." And he said, "Well, who's going to stop us?" And so you see a guy that is an Alabama guy. He was born in Alabama, played in Alabama, coached in Alabama. He's come to Tennessee, but he's embraced the traditions of Tennessee football, and I think you're seeing that even bleed over into the field, and not only before the game and his pregame speeches, but in the field, and the players are starting to adapt and really get used to this coaching style, and I think you're seeing some positives out of that.
We're joined by Stephen Shelton. Cox is back in rehab and not here. It's Rocky Time Review presented by CHI Memorial. Something I read this past week is that what Jeremy Pruitt has brought to UT is something we've lacked for a long time, and that's stability. He is a football coach.
Yeah, that's all he is. He's just a football. His dad was a football coach. He's a football coach. You start looking at just his
grandmother.
His grandmother was an offense coordinator.
A joke,
so you just look at this team. You look at this coaching staff. They've been together now for 2 years. The majority of them been together for 2 years. You finally have Coach Chaney back, who's been got the offense now for 2 straight years. We just had so much turnover in Knoxville. You bring guys in, they stay a year, they get promoted somewhere else, take another job. But just the stability. And one thing I think that you can say for Coach Pruitt that I think holds true even for Coach Saban and some others, is he's not intimidated by bringing great coaches in. He's not intimidated. And so I think when you had Coach Jones up there, I think every time you brought someone in that someone thought that was a great coach, they didn't stay very long. And he wanted to micromanage. I think Coach Pruitt is a guy that is an overseer of the program, a protector of the program, and lets his guys coach.
All right, well, Shelton, you ready to dive into the Southeastern Conference schedule?
Absolutely.
And I tell you, a lot of people are really loving this SEC-only COVID era schedule this fall. So let's dive in. So we have changed our theme of the show, which we've been doing at least 5 or 6 years now. But this year we are only concentrating on the Southeastern Conference. All right, Florida at Texas A&M is a noon game, so that game is in progress as we tape this on Friday. But Shelton, what do you make of this game, Florida at A&M?
Well, right now, Kyle Trask is probably one of the front runners for the Heisman. Florida is really good. They're 2-0. Texas A&M's they've been weird. You know, they struggled in week 1 at Arkansas. They played well at times against Alabama. They ended up getting beat pretty handily there. But Kyle Trask is 51 of 71 for 684 yards, 10 touchdowns, and 1 interception. That's through 2 games. I mean, this guy's averaging over 300 yards a game, over 5 touchdowns a game he's throwing. Half an interception a game. Florida's kind of got the fun and gun back almost from that standpoint. The Spurrier days of just throwing the football at will, no matter what down it's on. Pond for Texas A&M, he was a guy that people thought was going to be a really difference maker, and he has really struggled this year. Only 4 touchdowns. He's 42 of 72. He's missed 30 passes this year already, and that's really kind of not a Jimbo Fisher type quarterback. They're usually more in control, hit the open guy a little bit more than he's done thus far. But and then you got Pitts, the wide receiver for Texas. It's called Kyle Field. They're going to Texas A&M today to play at Kyle Field, and they get Kyle Trask and Kyle Pitts, and they're saying this could be Kyle Field before they leave here. So, but Pitts got to be the top tight end in the nation now. 12 receptions, 227 yards, and 6 touchdowns in 2 games. That's a season for some tight ends.
Wow. So let's make a pick on this one.
I think Florida goes down there and wins by 2 touchdowns. I really do.
Wow. All right. So Shelton goes with Florida this week. All right. Also a game in progress. We are, of course, taping this the day before. Is Missouri and LSU. LSU, of course, bounced back last week in Nashville. They are hosting the national champions, hosting Missouri. That game's in progress, kicked off at noon.
Yeah, this is interesting. Missouri played decent week 1. They played decent week 2 against Tennessee. They're just a little undermanned. They don't do a lot of great things on offense. They're decent on defense. I think LSU got back on track last week against Vanderbilt. The question with LSU is, I know you lost a lot of people to the NFL, which is a dagger. Coach Orgeron has got some personal family issues going on. Filing for divorce. We know that can take your mind away from your job. Everyone's been, or knows someone that's been through that situation. And so it's one of those deals that you've got to start thinking, okay, could this LSU staff have inherited a great plethora of talent, won a national championship, but be one of those staffs that all of a sudden just disappear into the night? And I think that if this LSU team were to, they win today, but they finish a 5-5 season, I just don't think that leash in 2021 will be really, really long for Coach O, as much as they love him down there, because, again, it's kind of like when Coach Meyer left Florida, you get somebody else comes in and they win a national championship, and you look back, or they do a really good job. You're like, well, that's really not his players. So we'll see over the next couple of years how this LSU program is able to bounce back and recruit some of that NFL talent that they lost last year. But I got LSU at home. Weather should be good, maybe a little sloppy, but should be cleared out by the end of the hurricane clearing out of there. But I think Missouri starts out 0-3 this year.
You like my new mic stand?
I was asking if that was going to be new. It does look nice. That's yeah.
We got it from the set of Star Wars.
It's
look at this thing.
Yeah, it's out there. I see Bridgette's still using the one that Tom used.
Bridgette, yeah, she does not deserve a microphone. Period. We got to get into Bridgette because And we'll be getting into this a lot Monday morning.
That's what I hear.
About Bridgette?
I'm hearing there's a lot of damage there.
She decided to play tennis for the first time. She played me in tennis about 4 years ago on one afternoon when apparently I'd had tired of filing my fingernails. I don't know what it was. So apparently has torn her ACL. No kidding. And went over to Center for Sports Medicine this morning. Now we're taping this on Friday, so she went Saturday morning. She's supposed to go tomorrow morning to see Spangler. And I just don't know what to say.
Do we have an over? Is betting allowed in Tennessee yet? Is it coming? Is
November 1.
Okay, so let's go ahead. We'll get a pre-jump on
ahead.
this. The over-under, how long she milks this?
Oh, this is Dwayne. We were just talking about it off the air. This is months.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, she'll be on one of those roller things.
Yeah.
You know, we'll have to bring her all kinds of stuff to her desk.
She'll want to park in handicap parking.
She wants to park in handicap parking.
Yeah.
She'll want my spot in the back. I mean,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, it's going to be bad.
I am dreading this, and then I don't know if she's here Monday. Now, I will tell you, you're listening to this on Saturday. Be listening to Mixed Mornings. First of all, Shelton's Andrew Johnson Bank UT question Monday morning at 7:30. You can win Aubrey's gift card. Also, we'll have a surprise guest about that same time, about 7:30 on Monday morning, regarding Bridgette's injury. That's true. South Carolina, Vandy. Is there much to say about this one? It's in progress.
It's the worst. These are the worst two teams in the SEC. I mean, I think South Carolina wins finally. If South Carolina loses this game, Muschamp's fired by Monday.
All right, let's take a break here. It's Rocky Top Review presented by CHI Memorial. We're back with more games in just a moment. Back with more Rocky Top Review, Mix 104.1, Talk 101.3, and Mix TV. Check out Mix TV at mymix1041.com. It's all presented by CHI Memorial. Memorial Convenient Care open 7 days a week. They have flu shots available now in the Public Shopping Center, Paula Parkway here in Cleveland, coming at the end of a fall break 2020. Unlike any other, Tennessee will kick off in Athens, Georgia at Sanford Stadium, 3:30 on Mix 104.1 and Talk 101.3. Today, we have Shelton with us, Jason Cox, I guess allegedly on fall break. And Shelton, I think we've got a message for Jason today.
Well, we took a vote while we were off the air, and, Jason, you're fired.
That's it. He's been holding us back, and we did show his replacement, which is the empty chair.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it's kind of like when, who was it, Clint Eastwood at the
Absolutely.
Republican,
Yep.
at the Republican Convention about 8 years ago. All right, let's go to it. More SEC games. Arkansas is at Auburn on the face of it, Shelton, 4 o'clock today. This seems to be an interesting matchup.
Arkansas, first time in 17 SEC games. They win last week. They beat Mississippi State, and so Arkansas comes in with a lot to prove. They think they can win this game, and they're going to the Plains. Auburn's a 13.5-point favorite. I think Auburn's really good this year, much better than what people thought they were. They did lose to, Georgia earlier in the year, but I think they get back on track. Arkansas is getting better. Sam Pittman's doing a great job out there with that program of getting it some stability, like you said earlier about Tennessee, back in Arkansas. So, but the Tigers move on to 2-1. Arkansas falls to 1-2, and but again, I think Arkansas is a team that could slip up on a few people down the stretch.
Another game, this one tonight, 7:30. It's Alabama at Ole Miss, and we all remember when Nick Saban gave Lane Kiffin a life raft a few years ago. And there's been a lot of talk this week, Shelton, about this game.
It may give him a little more than a life raft tonight. I know Ole Miss upset Kentucky last week. Ole Miss can score. Okay, there's never been a question about whether or not Lane Kiffin can score at any level of football. I don't care if you're playing at the YMCA or in the NFL. He can score. The problem is they cannot play defense. I mean, they're horrendous at defense. And so I think that Alabama, Ole Miss, it's great for the press because Kiffin and Saban, is like father and son back together again. And But good for Saban and good for Kiffin. They've kept it kind of down this week. I thought there would be a little more jawing from Lane, but I think there's enough respect there that maybe he didn't. And so I think Ole Miss scores a lot. I think this is a 14-point game, but I think Alabama wins in a shootout, much like years ago when Ole Miss, they had Alabama's number there for a couple of years. But yeah. I think that this is a shootout tonight. I think that you can see a game into the 40s again, but I think Alabama does win.
That's a 7:30 start tonight. That's the ESPN primetime game tonight. And over on the SEC Network, also at 7:30 this evening, which is Mississippi State at Kentucky. We need to talk about the unbelievable nature of sports tomorrow. Well, we're taping this Friday, but on Saturday, when you have all three major sports leagues playing on one day, which is just incredible because of the COVID situation. Let's talk about it. Shelton, Mississippi State at Kentucky tonight, 7:30 SEC Network.
KJ Costello from Mississippi State has thrown completed 79 of 119. He's thrown 119 passes in 2 games. 119 passes.
Damn.
He 936 yards, 6 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. They're just playing backyard football. They're saying, "Hey, let's line up. We're going to do the Statue of Liberty this play. We're going, it's just they're doing everything they can."
That's the Larry Green play we used to run.
Statue.
Yeah.
I'm telling you that there's nothing that Mike Leach will not run offensively, and you got to love him for it. But I think that Terry Wilson in Kentucky defensively is what's been the Achilles heel, if you will, on
Bridgette
for Kentucky, because they were supposed to be really good defensively. They gave up 42 last week to Ole Miss. Defensively, they're just not very good. If Kentucky plays the same defense they did last week, Kentucky moves to 0-3. But I just think that Kentucky wakes up this week. They're at home. Mississippi State is coming off a kind of a really bad loss to Arkansas, and so I think that Kentucky gets back on track. Kentucky wins this game to move to 1-2. Mississippi State drops to 1-2, but it's all going to be dependent. Kentucky's defense will either win or lose this game.
All right, it is Rocky Top Review presented by CHI Memorial. CHI Memorial, imagine better health. Shelton, you're working on your question, so you ask a question Monday morning about the UT game.
Yeah, so they usually send me a text Sunday night to remind me, and so
thanks, Ashley.
Yeah, thanks. And so they send me a text, and we try to make it. You said up front, let's make it where it's not something that no one knows, but we try to make it a little interesting. But it's a pretty cool deal. You listen, call in, $25 to Aubrey's. I mean, you can't beat that.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. So be listening, Mix 104.1 Monday morning. Also around that same time, we're going to delve in to Bridgette's torn ACL, which we assume it is. She heard the pop, collapsed on the tennis court on Thursday afternoon. Of course, she should have been working, so that's what
I was at the Bradley. There's a lot of people that listen on Mondays for the question. I was at the Bradley at Maryville game Thursday night and had a guy come up and said, "What's this week's answer?"
Oh, hello.
And I said, "Well, I'll be honest with you, I don't have a question yet." I said, "It's based off usually the game." And he said, "Oh," he said, "Well, I was going to go with," he said, "Henry Toa has to be the answer to one of these weeks." And I said, "Well, I'll tell you, when I was in college, I had a New Testament survey class, and I was asleep, and the professor calls on me and says, 'Hey,' he said, 'Mr. Shelton, what's the answer?' I rose up, no idea what he's talking about, and I said, 'Jesus.' He said, 'Jesus is not the answer.' I said, 'Well,' I said, 'From where I come from, Jesus is always the answer.'" Well, needless to say, I got an excuse from the class for the rest of the day. But listen, Henry Toa will be answered at some point, I'm certain.
People are hanging on it. It is Rocky Top Review presented by CHI Memorial. We're on Mix 104.1, Talk 101.3, getting ready for 3:30 kickoff. Tallahassee at Georgia today at Sanford Stadium in Athens. Going to take a break right here. And don't forget, CHI Memorial Convenient Care Public Shopping Center. They have flu shots available. Back for a final segment of Rocky Top Review on Mix 104.1 and Talk 101.3. Also on Mix TV. You can find Mix TV at mymix1041.com. It's all presented by CHI Memorial. All right, Shelton, the game everybody's looking forward to. Tallahassee at Georgia at 3:30 today at Sanford Stadium.
Well, I mean, Sanford Stadium, if you saw last week, Georgia is not able to count very well. They were supposed
Big
to have
surprise.
they were supposed to have about 25,000. I think there was about 80 there, and so that they're I would say the stadium's going to be packed this game. Tennessee hasn't won between the hedges since Josh Dobbs threw that Hail Mary to Juwan Jennings, and sorry Georgia fans, but and it ruined that season for them. But Georgia's found I think a quarterback, but you got if Stetson Bennett plays very much, Tennessee has to take advantage of that. I mean Stetson Bennett is 5'11", 190. That means he's probably about 5'9", 175, and that's the way it goes. But I think Georgia's doing a lot better job of ball control. That they have an 88% chance of winning this game according to ESPN Index. So they're not giving Tennessee a lot of chances to go down to Athens and win this game. But I tell you, if you look at Tennessee running the football with Ty Chandler, with Eric Gray, they've done a great job. The offensive line starting to mesh. Cade Mays will either be thrown out in the first play of this game or play the game of his life, and because there's no in between. He's going to be fired up. His brother's going to be fired up. There's just going to be I think a lot more expectations from Tennessee this year than in years past to going down there and playing well and possibly getting a win.
What's been the key, do you think, to Tennessee's early success?
Well, I think running the football. I think establishing the line of scrimmage. In the SEC, you win. And if you look at Alabama's blueprint, it's always have the best defensive tackles, have the best offensive tackles. And that's what they've done. And Tennessee's gotten – although our defensive side of the football is a little thin on the line. Offensively, our offensive line, I would put them up against anybody in the nation. Now, they have to control that line of scrimmage. If Georgia gets ball control, it's going to be a long day because Tennessee's defense will wear down because we don't have a lot to rotate in and out. So, but if Tennessee's able to sustain some long drives, keep our defense fresh, I think that you're going to see a Tennessee team that can play with what I would say is the best team in the SEC East, and that's Georgia. So, if you look at this game and you look at the blueprint for success, it's going to be give it to Gray, give it to Chandler, put Garantano in positions to throw the football successfully. Don't put him in some third and longs because that's when he starts to make a lot of mistakes. So, and Garantano, if you remember when Dobbs went down and beat Georgia, he ran for 3 or 4 first downs with on his own. And I think that's what Garantano, although he was recruited as a dual threat quarterback, he doesn't run the ball very much. But I think if he's getting it, if the pocket starts to collapse some, I think Garantano is athletic enough to get outside of those and run for a few first downs.
Shelton, let me ask you about the positioning of this game. Folks who may not know this, maybe you do at this point, CBS always gets the first choice of SEC games, okay, every week. That may change by next year. That's some shop talk. But anyway, the 3:30 slot is the prime slot. Now, CBS gets one primetime game a year. That'll be next week when Georgia and Alabama play at 8 o'clock on CBS. What does it say to you that UT is in that prime 3:30 slot again this season?
Well, I can't remember the last time they were in it, to be honest with you. It's been a long time. And it may have been the Georgia game in 2017. I don't remember. And so for Tennessee to be back in those types of things, and we talk about, if game day were still around, would this be the game that game day goes to?
Where are they going, Clemson?
Yeah, I think that's right. And so because you got to think about if they had the choice, and I know Herb Street's connection with his sons being at Clemson plays into that some, I'm sure, with ESPN. But if you look at this game, and let's say Tennessee would have played Georgia, more traditionally, and Tennessee would have been 3-0 or 4-0, and so would have Georgia. This has to be not only a CBS game, but also a College Game Day game. And so you're putting Tennessee in a position that a lot of eyeballs are on them. And if we all know something about recruiting, kids want to go to places where they're going to be recognized and seen. And Coach Pruitt's starting to do that. He's starting to get this program in a place where people like CBS want them on the prime time. CBS or ESPN wants them in their prime time slots because the more eyeballs, the more advertising, the more revenue. And that's just the way this works. So that's indicative of what's going on in Knoxville. It's just a kind of a snowball effect down to the better you do with that program, the more eyeballs you're going to have on you.
All right, Shelton, time to put you on the spot. Time to make a pick. It's Shelton's pick here on Rocky Top Review, presented by CHI Memorial. Tennessee at Georgia.
Well, I really like Tennessee this year, but I picked Georgia to win the East. I'm not. And Tennessee can't go down and win, and Georgia still. I hope Tennessee goes down and beats them by 14. But I think Georgia's a touchdown to 10-point favorite or better in this game. They're a 14-point favorite, but I think Tennessee will cover the spread. But I think Tennessee loses by a touchdown to 10 unless they establish that line of scrimmage and have ball control. I think Georgia wins this game.
Shelton, thank you, and Jason Cox is officially fired. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think so. I'll send him a text.
The empty chair, more intelligent, higher IQ than Jason Cox. That's what we just learned. Hey, Shelton, we'll talk to you Monday morning.
All right, thanks a lot.
All right, time to join the statewide stadium, the Vol Network, as we get ready for Tennessee, Georgia, between the hedges. Larry Munson. Lauren, what do you got?
Larry, I love you.